First time I'm going live in the vertical position by myself, so forgive me if I mess anything up. We're gonna do some live sharpening. Might have to move this camera back just a little bit for you guys so you guys can see what I see. All right. Yeah, that looks good. So I got some knives I'm going to sharpen up here. I have one pocket knife I might do. It is a Gravity Elementum button lock. This one's the premium one in 20 CV in titanium. I actually recommend the micarta one over this one with the 14C. But I also have a couple chef knives I might do very quickly, just because they do need it. And we're going to use resin bonded stones. What's up, Seva? How you doing, brother? What's up, John? Thank you for joining, man. I appreciate it. This is the first time I've gone live by myself vertically. I did it yesterday with Marine X. Shout out to him. He's the one who helped me out, so I know how to do this. And I figured might as well do it. Might as well try it out, you know. I like to try out new things. But right now, I got a couple knives I need to sharpen up. We're going to do it on the resin bonded diamonds. I do have those stones I'm testing out. I thought about maybe even just trying those freehand, because the company did tell me that they can cut, that they make those size stones. But let's start off with a pocket knife, because this one has a little microchip right here. Actually, you know what? Let's just look at the sharpness. It's not sharp at all. Yeah, this thing is... just cutting through one piece, it wound up taking the edge off. It's a dead edge, but let's just do this just show everybody it's a dead edge. These are diamonds, so of course this is making it very dull very quickly. Yeah, it's a blunt edge now. Hey Jared, nice to see you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We are gonna sharpen up a couple knives. If you guys got any questions, just let them rip. Let them rip. I got the Civivi Elementum here, button lock. This is an exclusive. They don't even sell it no more, but you can get the micarta and 14C28M version with a deep hollow grind. I highly recommend that one even over this one. This one's a 20 CV version, but it has a flat grind. So I have two of the other ones and then multiples of the smaller ones, but I've got a bunch of different Elementums. I even got the Wii version. What's going on, Clavitt? Want that knife you made. Would love it, Nitro V. Next time. So we are going to have them, the next batch, made in Nitro V. I wanted, you know, I would have liked to have done that from the start. I even made that kind of, you know, known from the start, but that was the steel that he did, that they worked with. And you know, the most important part is just getting a good heat treatment. I was thinking I'd rather them do a good heat treatment on that steel, a steel they're used to, than use a different steel and mess it up. But supposedly they're going to be able to do it on the next one. So you guys know the edge is dead. We just scraped it across the stone. And we are going to do approximately a 17-degree edge bevel. How do I know it's about 17? Just because I sharpened so damn much. I kind of know right around a 17-degree edge bevel. Personally, for me, it's usually somewhat right in the middle of my thumb. You can see a little dent right there. Is it perfect? No, because there's different, you know, blade thicknesses, different heights, but it's right around. And I can tell, because when you sharpen enough, you can just feel the edge and feel how thick it is, and then know what a 17-degree edge bevel will look like on it, because I've done this thousands of times. So if I notice it's a little bit small for the thickness, then I know I can just lower it and, you know, get it to 17. What's going on, Kate? How you doing, man? You should see my Spy 27 Mannix. Maybe I should pull this up over here. Can I do that? Go like that. I'm just gonna try. I don't even know how to find our stream right now, so I'm just guessing here. But I sharpened too much. It's still nice, but not leaf shaped anymore, and doesn't close all the way. The blade protrudes after. Yeah, that sucks. That can happen. Oh, here we go. That can happen if you over sharpen or anything like that. So yeah, and you know what happens a lot of times is a knife will be very thin behind the edge, and it'll be thinner right here behind the edge than over here. And when you're sharpening, this will sharpen faster. And a lot of times you'll sharpen a knife and it'll come out very similar to a tanto, even though it was a drop point. I mean, not obviously exactly like a tanto, but it'll start doing that type of shape, like a Japanese style tanto. You just want to be careful and pay attention to how fast the steel is being removed. Now, that's not a super common issue, but it can happen. It looks way different now. It looks like a slish buoy now. Oh, yeah. It happens, man. I know I've definitely got my fair share of knives that I feel like I've ruined, but really technically, you know, I could always go back over them now. Just sometimes in my, you know, sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and it's just like, should I fix this or should I just get a new one and start from scratch? But I've definitely fixed them in a lot of times. How do you dress the Veneve stone? So what I do is you can do it multiple different ways. So like you can get just like a little aluminum oxide stone and just do that. You can get I personally, my favorite is the Nagura. It's they come in anywhere from 200 to like 1,000 grit or something. They're like 12 bucks. Sometimes you can get it for like $6-7, but it's just basically aluminum oxide stone. And you just take it, and because this is a resin bonded diamond, so the idea is the resin, the layer of resin is filled with diamonds throughout the entire resin. Think about like chocolate chips and cookies. So when I'm sharpening, the diamonds will eventually wear down, especially with super hard super steels, right? So they'll wear down, and eventually the resin will be the only thing I'm scraping against. So what I want to do is condition it, which will knock down the resin, because this is hard, but it's not harder than diamonds. So the diamonds won't be knocked down, but the resin will, which will expose the diamonds. You make the diamonds basically come out of the surface like that, and then I sharpen until it needs to be addressed again. Now, if you've done a ton of sharpening, because these are like some of the most wear-resistant stones you can get, they last forever. You rarely ever have to flatten them. Sorry, guys. But it is nice sometimes to flatten them on silicon carbide powder. You just pour powder on like a glass surface, put a little water on there, and just lay it down and scrape it around. That will completely make it brand new again. So you could do that. I'll do that like once a year. You know, maybe once every 6 months, just depends on how much I'm using it. But in between sharpening, so like once every few sharpenings, I'll just dress it like this. I usually use my Nagura. This one, it actually came with this one, which is a Nanawa. So this is a Nanawa resin bonded. I don't like it as much as Veneves. And if you guys know, or you guys don't know, only the members know, I have some new stones that are very, very high quality resin and metallic bonded diamonds. So I'm testing those out right now, and we'll see how those go. So I got them sitting right here. Well, this is one set right here. And these, man, so far, I'm really, really, really liking those. We're going to see if they wind up exceeding my opinion on Veneves or not. They might even be made in the same warehouse. I don't think so, because Veneves are made in Russia, and those are supposedly made in Ukraine. So we'll see. I refer my subscribers to you for sharpening. Well, thank you, Bushcraft. I appreciate that, man. How do you flatten the Veneve stones? Silicon carbide powder, just a little, just literally like a cap ball. I got some sitting over here. You can buy it online, super cheap. And you just need a capful, like a water bottle cap. You just take a capful, and that's plenty. And then pour it on a glass surface, and then just literally take a cap full of water and put it on top of there too, maybe 2 caps, and then just, you know, just set it down and, you know, scrape it around. But you should condition it every few sharpenings because, like I said, it basically knocks down the resin and brings out the diamonds. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So as far as pressure goes, I'm applying a little bit of pressure because you need the pressure in order, because you want to basically like feel like you're cutting a thin layer off of the stone. It's kind of like, you know, the way you want to think about it. And you want to add a little bit of pressure, but not a lot, because a lot of pressure will make you change angles, because your goal is to hold that angle perfectly as you go across the stone. And the way you get to the tip, instead of changing angles, you just lift your elbow and that will get you to the tip. So now when I go this way, as I raise my elbow, I'm still holding the same angle, because there's 2 different angles here. We have this angle and then this angle. So what you don't want to move is this angle. You want to find whatever angle you're going to keep it at, and then hold it there. And that's how you get a nice flat bevel. You can do back and forth motions as long as you can hold the angle. If you're not good at holding it, you might need to lift it off. Or some people actually hold it better by keeping it on the stone. And, you know, so you might not want to lift it off. But if you're really good, and certain times, you know, you might want to lift it off and just do repeats like I'm doing right now. It just depends on you, the steel, the stone, and all of that. You know, I've noticed that, and that looks good. I've noticed that there's times where it works better for me either way. I can't even see how many people are in here. Oh, 123. Okay, cool. Stroppy stuff. Hey, what's up, man? The 600 grit Nano Nagura is 10 out of 10 for the resin bonded stones. Yeah, that's exactly what this one is the 600. I thought about getting other ones, but now that I'm, you know, checking out this company right here, which is going to have a place in the USA where they can sell them. So if, you know, if I do wind up linking them or, you know, talking about them, you're not going to have to wait for them to come from Ukraine. They'll be already in the USA. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited about it. So far, so good. I also have metallic bonded diamonds, or metallic bonded CVN stones, which they say are their best. They say they're even better than their resin. So we're going to be testing all of those out over the next week. And then I'm going to decide my thoughts on them, whether or not I think they're better than VNIVE, whether or not I think that they are worth the money, and whether or not I recommend them. So far, I can tell you, I already want to recommend them. At least the resin bonded. I got to try the metallic bonded still. The resin bonded, same thing as like this. However, it seems that they might be a little bit more aggressive, which I like. So I want more aggressive. More aggressive means more diamonds. More aggressive means larger diamonds. So obviously it goes all the way up to like a mirror polish, you know, because there's different stones. My metallic stones by Poltava had some protruding particles, and they were real hard to lap flat. But when they were working, they were great. Yeah, I've heard of some companies having some issues with their resin. So, and I even heard VNIVE had some issues with their, a certain one. I think they're 2000s. I think they had some issues with that resin from that one. But I haven't had any issues with VNIVEs. VNIVEs, I have many sets of them. These right here, these are very expensive stones. But I even have them in smaller stones. I got them literally every size they come in pretty much. And I love them. But this other company might just be even better. Thank you, baby, so much. Shout out to the, why don't you say hello?
Oh, it's called espresso con pana.
Espresso what?
Con pana.
Con pana.
With whipped cream. Stronger, right?
It's very good. Yes, it's strong. I love it.
A bunch of espresso poured on top of whipped cream.
Clive, it says $20 at Home Depot. What's $20 at Home Depot? Definitely wipe it down with some soapy water like Jared afterwards to get them. Yeah, I use soapy water. That helps lift the metal particles off of the top of the stone as you abrade them off of your edge, which can help you keep it nice and clean so you're not scraping back over metal. But yeah, the diamonds in these I have found to be the reason why I like these more than say these ones, the Nanowas, is because they're more aggressive. The diamonds seem bigger. It seems like there's more of them. The Nanowa's great. It's an amazing stone. I would highly recommend it. But you know, if you want to get the best, you know, that then I would say you want one with a little bit more diamond that cuts a little bit faster, cuts a little bit harder. Because remember, when I say cut, what I mean is that the diamonds are more effective to the steel. They gouge into the steel faster, meaning they're going to work faster. So instead of you spending an hour on the stone, you might spend 30 minutes. Yo, what it is? Sunday already? What have I done? I got a pretty decent stone from Home Depot, Husky sharpener, and it's really nice. I've got multiple videos on Home Depot stones and just budget stones altogether. I personally don't recommend them, and I'll explain why. So I have thousands and thousands of dollars in sharpening stones, literally. Like just right here, just this set right here is over $1,000. And I have tons of stones. I've tried literally just about everything out there. And aluminum oxide, silicon carbide, those types of stones, natural stones, they're good stones for somebody who's experienced. But when you're learning, especially if you're learning, especially if you're coming up, and I would say even if you're a pro, you're going to want, like if you're a pro, you're going to want probably resin bonded. But just coming up, and all the way up until you wind up getting something like this, you want diamond plates. Because one, the aluminum oxide and those cheap stones, they don't cut super steels. Like I would never put 20 CV on one of those steels because there's just too much carbide in the steel, and those stones are not hard enough to cut the carbides. So it requires diamond. So that's one thing. But two, diamonds cut faster. They take less effort. Like my diamond plates, I can grab a diamond plate right now. And if I grab a diamond plate, this doesn't require any maintenance. I literally just set it down and I start sharpening. I don't have to put any lubricant on it. I don't have to do anything to it. When I'm done, I go and I'm done. So put it back. So that saves you a lot of stress. I went from making messes with oil and water and flattening your stones and all this shit just to sharpen a knife when I didn't have to. And when you switch from those to just a diamond, get two diamond plates, a 300 and a 600 grip. That's all you need. You can get a 300 and a 600 grip and you're set. And once you do that, you'll probably never go back to the aluminum oxides until you get really good. That's one. And then also like with natural stones and stuff. But I personally only like to use like chef knives on those. Chef knives are very thin, and the aluminum oxides, especially on simple steels, they do really well with natural stones, aluminum oxide stones. But as far as like modern day pocket knife steels that are good with good HRCs and everything, which is the hardness of the steel, just because it is a certain steel doesn't mean it's going to be done well. Meaning like this is 20 CV super steel. This could be done soft or hard. So, you know, the harder it gets, you know, the longer it's going to take to sharpen, but not by much. But also the better the edges are going to come out. The harder it is, the better in every way. The more edge retention it's going to have, the better the edges are going to come out, the better the burr's going to remove. Any opinion on trend diamond plates? I don't know about trend. I recommend either one of three or one of four. Depends on what you want. If you want a bench stone like this, then I would say get Atomas, Ultra Sharps, or DMTs. If you are wanting diamond plates like this for a sharpening system, then I recommend the HAPSTONE Starts or the Atomas. You could go with resin bonded if you want the best, but as far as just regular diamond plates go. All right, we got a burr from heel to tip. Let's check out our bevel. What I'm looking for right now is I want to make sure my bevel's nice and flat. I want to make sure my scratch pattern is going the right direction, because like when you're cutting, you cut like this, right? So I want the teeth on my edge bevel to be facing where the way I'm cutting, like serrations, exactly like serrations. Just think in your head like serrations. So this thing scratches the edge bevel and cuts in a V ground bevel. And then at the very apex is little tiny microscopic teeth. So I want to make sure those teeth are running the right direction, and I want to make sure it's nice and flat. If I see any convexing that I don't like, I will address it right now, right at the end, do a couple passes and make sure I hold it perfectly, but we're good. So I'm going to do a reverse pass right now because I have a burr. I've been working on this side, so the opposite side will have a burr. So basically you sharpen the edge until you develop a burr. A burr is just the metal from the apex folding over from you removing steel on one side. So it'll hang over like a wire. And then now I want to knock that back over to this side because it's hanging over like this. I want it to knock it over this way. So I'm just going to do a little stropping pass from tip to heel. Why am I doing that? Well, because then when I'm towards my last stone, I've already fatigued my burr back and forth, and it should snap off. And like yesterday, in yesterday's live with Marine X, I showed my final burr where I had the burr and it wouldn't cut paper. And then I showed when I removed my burr how then it revealed a sharp edge. That's how you want to do it. You want to develop a burr on both sides, go through all your stones, and then remove the burr appropriately. Like that's a huge deal that a lot of people don't put enough attention into. Your burr development and the way you remove a burr has everything to do with how long your edge is going to last and how sharp it's going to be. Yes.
You know how in video games they say like the final boss?
Say what?
The final boss.
The final boss?
Yeah, in video games.
Yeah.
This should be the final burr.
The final burr? Yeah, there you go.
You
I do say that though.
You just say it. You just didn't realize.
The final burr. She relates everything to video games. I like Japanese stones on my Japanese and other kitchen knives since they are so thin, even if they're 65 HRC range or harder. Yes, Sid, I agree. I love Japanese stones. Japanese water stones are some of my favorite stones for chef knives. And yeah, that's where I would use them, is for chef knives because they're nice and thin. Now, if I'm using a steel that is a super steel with lots of carbides, which usually chef knives are not in, but I'm just saying, let's say that there is, I'm going to use diamonds. But if it's not that, yeah, hell yeah. King Waterstones are probably my favorite. They're affordable, they're Japanese made, and they're really hard. They last a long time. I freaking love them. Like, seriously. Like, that would be a stone I would highly recommend to anybody if you're just sharpening chef knives. They work really well. They are a little messy. You do have to put water on them and soak them and all that stuff, but you know, it's just like the old-fashioned way of sharpening. And if you're doing, you know, a mid-grade to simple steel, perfect. Just do. I still fail to understand why the military does that, specifically for the Air Force. I have no idea. Would you prefer carbide sharpener or whetstone, and why? I would never use a carbide sharpener, ever. That would not be good for your edge. But yes, I would prefer a whetstone every day of the week over that. So the reason why is a carbide sharpener would be like a pull through, and a pull through does the exact opposite you want in an edge. Like when I'm sharpening, I'm creating micro serrations running at an angle, right? You literally think of your edge bevel as a microscopic serrated blade, right? It's microscopic, but it's there. And if you zoomed all the way in, you would see little tiny serrations. When I use a pull through, I'm cutting those off. It might get sharp to the touch, but that edge will go dull immediately. As soon as you start using it, it'll go dull. It won't hold bite because it can't, because the serrations aren't there. You've cut those fuckers off. So a whetstone would allow you to apply the microscopic serrations. I have a microscope right here. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it out, but I could, and we could look at an edge under the microscope, which will show you, you know, what I'm talking about. screw a whetstone if you're in a pinch or in a survival situation. Use the back of a porcelain cup, as I mean tip the porcelain. Yeah, so that'll work for honing, but it's not going to work for sharpening. So honing is just where your edge is not, there's not much damages or anything, and you're just tuning it up. That'll work for that, but it ain't going to work for sharpening. You're never going to be able to get that out on, you know, if you have a chip or, you know, things like that. If you just have a slight roll, you might be able to straighten it out. But yeah, I mean, it's just a ceramic. Like what I would use that for is two things. One, edge maintenance, and then micro beveling. And yeah, you can micro bevel out in the field and your edge will be sharper and it will last longer until you're ready to sharpen. Because honing, micro beveling, all of that is literally just to get more time. You're saying, I don't want to sharpen yet. I want my knife sharper right now, and I will sharpen the knife later. But your plan is to always eventually resharpen it to add what I was talking about before, the microscopic serrations and all of that, to reset your bevel. But yeah, that wouldn't be something like anybody trying to do that, like compared to a real edge that's done to that, like there's no comparison. A real sharpened edge is like 1,000 times better than anything you'll get on the back of a ceramic cup. But you know, I mean, you can do it in a pinch just to get by, as long as you don't have any damages, as long as it's not incredibly dull, and you know, as long as you don't have glaze, because that's like this one has the glaze on it, so I couldn't use this. It has to be no glaze at the bottom. If it's glazed, that, and I've seen people on videos using them, and I think it's hilarious because they'll be using a glaze. You can use a glazed cup, but the bottom can't be glazed. You need that natural ceramic, just like my ceramic plates, my ceramic rods. I have a ceramic rod, literally, I'm looking at it right now, and I use that for the exact same thing. I actually recommend everybody have a ceramic rod. You should have a ceramic rod in your kitchen. Like I can take a knife right now that's dull and do a couple passes on a ceramic rod, and it'll be shaving sharp again. Or at least paper shaving, which makes it to where, like say, the knives in your kitchen or your pocket knives or whatever, you can easily bring back your edge that's going dull until you can resharpen it. Yeah, that looks good. Beautiful scratch pattern on this one. Bevel looks pretty even. Yeah, we're doing good. I just need a little bit more at the heel. How safe are button locks? I had a KIZER, maybe due to its low budget manufacturing, and whenever I'd give the spine. So here's the thing. It's about the plunge grind. Yes, KIZER does or has had some that fail. They've also had some that are really good. I got some right now I can spine whack the shit out of, and they're really good. So it does depend. Just like a liner lock or a frame lock, it's going to be about the lock face geometry. So with a plunge, it's basically a spring. Like picture a spring. My wrist is the spring, right? It's pushing a plunge into a groove. So if that groove isn't appropriate, it will slip out. So that's kind of the thing. So you want it to have a good interaction where it doesn't slip. And We Knife Co., Civivi, and Sencut does an amazing job with button lock. So if you want a solid button lock, try one from them. They do a good job. Not saying it's impossible for you to get one that fails, because any company is susceptible to this, but you're less likely. I've got like probably a dozen of them, and all of them are rock solid. I've had some KIZERs that are rock solid and some that do fail. So it just depends. I got some hard use knives with button locks. Even if you think about it, like ProTech, you know, even their knives that are super tough, they're automatics. They have the same style locking system, and they have always been super solid. People recommend them as tough knives. So it just depends, you know. Just like I said, just like liner locks. There's liner locks I could give a little tap to that'll fail, and then there's some that will not fail, and the knife will break before it fails. Just getting the heel near the choil area, near the heel of the blade, is needing just a little bit more cut. We're about done with this side though, and then everything's gonna go fast from here, because this is the longest part right here, is the reprofiling. I need to put some Loctite in this pivot. Yeah, so the first stone is going to be your longest stone. I could have used a regular diamond plate here instead of the resin bonded. I just used the resin bonded because it was, you know, it's fine. This is a pretty thin edge. If it was thicker, I 100% would have went to an Atoma or something like that, or a DMT. My live is only vertical. I can't change it. I don't know. Yeah, no, this is a vertical live. That's what this is. This is a vertical live. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch stones. So this is a double-sided stone. So on the other side is another stone. This is a finer grit. You want to start with an extra coarse, then move to a medium, basically. So that's how you always want to do it. You never ever start, if you're reprofiling. What reprofiling is just basically when you're cutting in a new edge angle. So most factory edges come, one, with a poor quality edge. It's very rare you're going to get a good edge from the factory. There's a couple companies that do a good job, but technically your factory edge should be the worst edge your knife ever sees. Now, obviously, if you're learning sharpening and stuff, you know, it's not going to be as good as the factory edge at first, but you can get there. And if you use a fixed angled system, like some of the ones I have behind me, then you can get a perfect edge from the start. But anyways, my point is that the bevel is usually a high angle bevel, meaning it's sharpened like this rather than like this. This leads to a sharper edge that lasts longer, that's easier to maintain. This is a tougher edge, meaning, you know, because that's going to be a smaller bevel. If you look at the edge and you see it's a very, very tiny edge bevel, well, that usually means it's a high angle, and that won't hold an edge as long. It will be tougher. It'll be tougher for impact, for hitting things, but it won't be better for cutting. So in order to improve the sharpness, improve the bite, and make it easier to hone and strop your edge back, you want a little bit of a lower angle or a low angle. Hey, very quick question. What knife do you recommend as a good survival knife or for military in the field? I'm looking for one that has a fixed blade that is full tang. So I would ask you two questions. One, you're talking about a survival knife as in like outdoor stuff, or are you talking about for combat? Because that's two different things. You can get both. I would say check out Work Tough Gear. Work Tough Gear does amazing, amazing survival knives. So that's where I would go probably first and foremost. But like if you're looking for like a fighting knife, like a legit combat knife, TKELL. I just recently designed a self-defense knife with them. But for survival / you know, maybe fighting, check out Work Tough Gear, man. They got some badass knives. I've only got one, but I've checked them out at blade shows, and a lot of my friends are using them, and they're badass. Survival military combat knife, you better recommend a kukri. Well, I can't recommend a kukri for like, it depends. Like I could, but well, that's why Work Tough Gear. Work Tough Gear, I'll make a kukri. I'm sure they have a bunch of kukri. So I don't think it really matters which one you go with. I think that that's just a good company to deal with because they do good quality fixed blades that are fucking indestructible. Because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a high impact knife. You're not looking. Oh, hey, Jason, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Got to stop using this video format. I can't turn my TV around nor my laptop. Much easier for lazy asses to turn their phone to widescreen. Yeah, you want to hold your phone vertically instead of sideways. That will get you the full screen. I know he's not. I'm saying for anybody who is. But yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry that you're experiencing that. Okay, so now, like I said before, I've sharpened this side, so my burr is now this way, right? Remember before when we were sharpening this side, the burr folded over this way, hanging over the edge. Now I've sharpened this side, so my burr is like this. It's just a metal wire that folds over the edge that tells me my scratch pattern has hit the apex. So you want to make sure you develop this. This is very important to getting a sharp edge, is the burr. A lot of people just think you just scrape a knife across the stone until it's sharp. No, you have to develop a burr. That's the whole point, which is just basically meaning you've reached the apex. You've made an apex. So now that we have the burr, I want to flip it back over to this side. So I know it sounds weird. It's sitting on this side. I needed to go back over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from tip to heel very gently, and I'm just going to go like this. Very gentle. No pressure at all. because it doesn't take anything to knock that burr over. It's already knocked over. So now it's on this side. And now I have all the room to sharpen. Why do I want to flip that burr over? Because if I just go sharpening it, it'll tear it off. And then when it tears it off, it'll take little microscopic pieces with it. And I don't want that. I want it to flip back and forth throughout my sharpening. And then at the end, it'll snap off. Think about folding a paper clip back and forth, right? If you fold it over enough, it'll just snap. Same idea. So now I'm going to do this side. And now all the stones will go much faster than the first one because we reprofiled. We've already set our bevel. So basically, let me just draw a picture really quick and show you guys what I mean. So let's say the bevel was like that. We just cut it in like that. So now we've removed all of this steel and revealed a new edge bevel. That's setting the bevel. So now that our bevel is set, all I need to do is change my scratch pattern. So now each stone after that is just changing the serrations. Think about a saw blade, right? Some saw blades have big teeth. Some saw blades have small teeth. Some serrations are small. Some serrations are big. Same concept. The coarser the stone, the bigger the serrations, the bigger the saw teeth. The finer the stone, the smaller and the more closer together the serrations are. So either you want wide serrations that are nice and big with big teeth, or you want small, nice and tight. Depends on the steel, depends on what you're doing. Usually you want a medium grit edge, around 600 to 1,000 grit. There are some steels that do really good with a polish, and there's some that don't go good with a polish. So it just depends on the heat treatment, the steel. This is 20 CV super steel. So this is a super steel. However, if this steel isn't ran really hard, it doesn't do the best with mirror polish. However, if it is ran hard and it's ran and the heat treat's good, it does incredible with a mirror polish. So it all is dependent on the HRC and the heat treatment for 20 CV and a lot of other steels. How would you know that? Well, you could just do it and see. Like, say, if I sharpen it to a polish and then I start using it and then it gets slick, I know right there, like, it's not good for it. As long as my angle's appropriate. Now, you could have an HRC test done, but then you have to send your knife out and all that. You don't want to do all that. So you just sharpen it and see how it does. Another thing is the burr. The burr will tell you everything. If the burr is very difficult to remove, you know it's soft. Like that's the biggest indicator of a soft steel is the burr is hard to remove. If it snaps right off, then you know it's nice and hard, usually. So we're almost done with this side already. And now again, my burr will be on the opposite side. I'm sharpening this side of the edge. So now my burr is over here and I can feel it from heel to tip. So I want to double check that. I want to make sure it's here, just like this. I want to just rub it like that. And I can feel a little wire hanging over the edge. Make sure it's all the way from heel to tip. Make sure my scratch pattern is good, which, oh, it's a gorgeous edge. That's a beautiful edge. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate the 10 bones. The Neeves 3x8 in lower grits, 80 to 100. Get it or pass? Yes, get it. I have 150, 250, 400, and 600 in low grit steel plates. Okay, so you're saying you have that in steel plates? Or are you talking about in Neeves? So, yeah, you must be talking about, okay, so that's what you have. So what I would say is, if you want, I would go the opposite way, bro. I would get an aggressive diamond plate, like an Atoma or something like that, and then get the Neeves for the finer grits, the medium and finer, if you're wanting to save money and get very little stones. Now, yes, getting a stone like this will last basically forever. That is the beauty of it, while a diamond plate like this will wear out after a year or two, depending on how much you sharpen. This will last you 10, 20 years. This is going to last you, a year or two. So that is the big difference. But a regular diamond plate like that cuts much faster, which is what you want with your first stone. You don't want to spend an hour reprofiling. You want that fucker to sharpen up really quickly. You want it to cut that bevel in really fast so that you can work on your medium grit and finer grits. So I would recommend getting the 240, 400, and the 800, 1200. This is a mirror polish. So if you don't care about mirror polishes, I do love these because I can hone on them. I can do so much with these, right? Aside from just mirror polishing. But That's what those do. This is a medium grit. It's basically a 600 grit and a 1200 grit. So that's the way I would do it if I didn't have them. Since you have a 600 and all that, you really just need a reprofiling stone from there. Like I said, a 140 Atoma or something. If I'm understanding you correctly, I hope I am. But the way I usually recommend, Matthew, thank you, man. I appreciate the 2 bones. Best equipment to sharpen S35. I'll tell you right here in 1 second. So what I like to do is I like to recommend an Atoma 140. And then the Neeves from there on. So either 3 double-sided Neeves, which is 6 stones, or 2 double-sided Neeves, like I just said, which they are expensive, but you don't have to get those. You could just go diamond plates if you're on a budget. So what I would get for S35VN is 2 stones, 2 diamond plates, 300 and a 600. That's what I recommend if you're trying to save money and you want the best right off the bat first, affordable and as cheap as possible with the less amount of stress. Get a 300 grit and a 600 grit diamond plate, either ultra sharp, which I have everything linked down in the description, guys. Go to the NeevesKnives store, not NeevesKniveCo, the NeevesKnives store. Anyways, so Atoma, ultra sharp, or DMT. Those are the 3 diamond plates you want to, in my opinion, you want to get. Ultra sharps are going to be the most affordable. You can get 3 of them, 3, 6, and a 1200 for like $138 in the big ones like this. If you get the little 2x6s, you can get it for like $56. So our burr is flipped over here, right? So now we want to knock it over, back over to this side again. Remember, we're folding it back and forth. So very gentle, no pressure. I'm literally just basically stropping on the stone. Just think of it as stropping, no pressure at all. It's flipped over now. Now I got a little bit more. And now when I go to sharpen this side, it's not going to affect and not going to do any tear out or anything. And then, like I said, this side will go much faster because we already have our bevel set. But yeah, 300 and a 600. So S35VN does not do good with an ultra fine edge. You can go up to 1200 grit. That's the highest I take S35VN, because S35VN, say with a mirror polish, it'll take a mirror polish, but it won't hold it. And sometimes it won't even. So when I say take, I don't mean that it won't be a mirror polished edge. What I mean is that it's not going to be a very sharp mirror polished edge. So it won't have bite, because there's 2 different things when we talk about sharpness. So always consider this when you're talking about any type of edges. There's sharpness, which is edge angle, and then bite, which is the teeth, which is the microscopic serrations, exactly what these diamonds are leaving at the apex. That's 2 different things. So it can be an extremely sharp edge with no bite, which means it'll slip out of cuts, which that's a dangerous edge. Yes, it's very sharp. Yes, it'll shave hair. Yes, it'll cut paper, but it'll slip out of cuts. So you want a sharp edge with a good amount of bite. And so S35VN does best at 600 grit, in my opinion. I don't take it over 1200 grit, because then it just starts losing bite. That's all it does. So your teeth don't work as much. Best equipment to I already read that one. But thank you guys for the donation, man. I appreciate it. Let's see here. He's talking to Dennis. Let me scroll down. Thank you, Logical. I appreciate it, brother. Wish I knew how to properly sharpen my knives. Watch the channel, man. I teach it all the time. So we sharpen this side. So now my bird's this way. So now I'm going to my next stone, which I'm probably going to finish on this one. So this is the Neve 240, which is basically a 600 grit stone. I could just use a regular diamond plate for this if I want to. But again, my bird's on this side. So I'm just going to flip it over very gently. And now watch when we do the burr removal. I'm going to show you guys the burr removal is so important when sharpening. If you can understand the burr and the burr removal, that is what's going to get you to getting a sharp edge. You can be the best person, best angle holder and all that shit, but if you don't know anything about the burr, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get a sharp edge. So now I am going to quickly put this 600 grit edge on there. 600 grit would be basically a medium grit edge. Medium grit edge does good on just about every steel, but some steels do best with a toothy edge, and some steels do best with a finer edge. All steels do good with a medium grit edge, though, if that makes sense. Meaning it might be better with a toothy edge, it might be better with a mirror polish edge, but all of them do good with a medium grit. Beautiful. I see a little tiny bit of convexing. The finer you go, the more imperfections come out, just so you guys know. So that's why I say don't even worry about anything else until you can get a 600 grit edge. I would say get either like a 200 and a 400 or a 300 and a 600 grit, and get yourself paper towel or at least paper shaving, hair shaving sharp off of a 600 grit, because if you can't get a great edge off a 600 grit, then no other stones are going to help you. Getting finer stones will only backfire. It won't do you any good. So you have to basically build the foundation, which is your first and second stone. Your second stone should leave an incredibly sharp edge, like a holy shit sharp edge. So if you haven't got a holy shit sharp edge from your second stone, why move on to the third stone? It ain't going to do anything. People make it seem like going finer and finer and finer makes it sharper and sharper. No, it does not. Your first stone makes the sharpness. The other stones just create the bite. And the finer you go, the smaller the teeth. Some steels do really good with that, but a lot don't. So going finer is, in many cases, a bad thing to do. I'm just flattening out my bevel a little bit. I've seen a little bit of convexing. Convexing just means my bevel doesn't look perfectly flat. But there we go. That's pretty good. I see a little tiny. Just one more second. I'm a perfectionist, so you don't have to do, like, this would be perfectly appropriate right now for anybody, but I get stupid crazy. That'll work. All right, so again, now the burr's on this side. We're going to flip it, finish this side, and then we're ready for the burr removal. So right now I'm just flipping the burr, not removing it. I'm just flipping it. I want it to stay on because I want it to keep flipping back and forth. So now, what have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be the 6th time my burr is flipped. There we go. And this is going to go really quick, hopefully. Even a 400 grit edge, man. Like, if you can't get a 400 grit edge nice and sharp, so like a 200 and a 400, so the 200 would be to reprofile, and the 400 would be like your finishing stone. But technically, a lot of, man, if it's thin, if it's a thin edge, you could sharpen on, meaning like you could reprofile on a 400, as long as it is thin. The thicker your edge gets, the longer it will take, the more brutal it will be, regardless what steel it is. Thicker edges take much longer. They go duller faster. They're just because they're more for impact. They're not for sharpness or cutting. They're for hitting things. So it's just different. Wow, that looks beautiful. That's a gorgeous edge right there. The burr is all the way from heel to tip. I just want to clean up the heel just a little tiny bit more. And then we are going to do the burr removal. And watch how I do this burr removal. Now, my favorite way to do a burr removal is to use a finer grit stone than I finished on. This is about a 600 grit. So I could flip it over and do it on this one, which is about 1200 grit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to a very fine stone. You could do this with a ceramic stone or any sort of ultra fine stone. Even like if you have an aluminum oxide or a whetstone, you could do it on that, because the point of removing the burr, I'm not changing the scratch pattern. I'm not changing my serrations. I'm not changing my edge angle. I'm literally just taking that wire and snagging it. So the stone has, as long as the stone is, listen, as long as that stone is hard, it will do what we want it to do. So now what I'm going to do is the burr is on this side. I'm going to do a stropping pass, so tip to heel very gently, just like we have been doing to flip it, but now I'm going to flip it back and forth until it snaps. So I'm going to do a very gentle, no pressure here. This is the most important part. No pressure at all. When you were sharpening, you were adding a little pressure. When you're flipping a burr or removing a burr, there's absolutely no pressure because the stone has every damn thing it needs to take the burr off. It does not need your pressure. So now I'm doing the other side. Flip it over to the other side. I'm literally just flipping it back and forth, and it's already gone. So now I'm going to just do a couple little forward passes, very gentle, diminishing the burr, getting it all to snap off. I should have showed you guys that it would not cut paper until the burr was removed. Like it was literally a dull edge until I removed the burr because there's a wire hanging off at the edge. So now I need a strap. Let me grab 6 micron. So this is a 6 micron strap, gunny juice. Highly recommend NEEVEKNIVECO down in the description if you want to get the best stropping compound. This is a diamond emulsion. Looks like this. So the stuff we're using right now is the 6 micron. Yep, 6 micron stroppy stuff down in the description. This is diamond emulsion. Here, I'll just spray it so you guys see it. Just sprays on, and then you got to let it dry. So like right now, I'm just gonna rub it around and let it dry. It'll dry pretty quick. But it's a diamond emulsion. The reason why I have them in the NeevEKNIVECO store is because I've tried, I don't even know how many different stropping compounds, like literally almost all of them. And this is the best. This is the best of the best. It has the highest concentration from my experience. The concentration of diamonds they're microscopic diamonds, so it's not like you can see the diamonds, but they're so small, they're so fine, they're mixed throughout the emulsion really well, and they're very effective. So they're also it's color coordinated, and so like each micron is a specific color, so you don't mix them up. And it's very easy to apply. A lot of stropping compounds can be difficult to remove, difficult to apply. I can wash this off very easily and reapply it. I can reapply it. You've already seen, I just applied some right here. See how it's already done. A lot of times it'll take some of them take like 24 hours to dry. So you have to apply it, then wait like a day or two. Just depends on the compound. And this is just cleaning off any remaining burr that did not come off with the stone, that did not snap off. So you can use stropping to refine your edge a little bit. Ooh, that's got a lot of bite. This is a very toothy 600 grit. Maybe I should have went up a little bit. All right, so let's test it. Testing on a paper towel, that's the biggest test. So paper towel's the best indicator of how good your edge is. So the reason why is because in order for your edge to cut paper towel cleanly, it has to have both things that we talked about before. It has to have a sharp edge, a good angle, and number 2, it has to have the perfect amount of bite. If it has too much toothiness, too much serrations, it'll snag. If it's too fine, it'll slip off, it won't cut. So in order for it to do this, it has to be basically a perfect edge. Bang. Look at that. So it does take a very sharp edge to do that, and look at that S cut. So we know that is a very sharp edge that has the perfect burr removal, because if the burr wasn't perfectly removed, it wouldn't do that. It can't. It'll snag. It would tear, snag. Man, that thing has a lot of bite. I'm just going to hit it on a strap just a few more times just to kind of refine it, because you can do that with straps. You can refine your serrations or your scratch pattern with the strap as long as you use the appropriate micron. And then you can also use it for edge maintenance. So this is what I would recommend in between sharpenings. So like your knives in your kitchen, your pocket knives, when they're sharp, right, what you want to do is you want to keep up with them with a strap. You don't let your edge go dull, right? If you let your edge go dull, well, then you have to resharpen. A strap ain't going to do anything. Nothing's going to work except for sharpening. So if you maintain your edge on a strap and keep it going, you can keep it going. Fucking, I've heard, you know, I've kept factory edges going for a long, long time. But you have to do it. You have to do the edge maintenance. It's kind of like just say doing maintenance on your car, right? You want to do your oil change appropriately. Well, if you don't do an oil change for 20 years, right, you're just going to have to get a new engine. Let's sharpen up this chef knife really quick, and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to do this really quickly because this is a chef knife, so they go fast. Hey, Bones, thank you, brother. Off the beaten path. I'm off the beaten path today. So you guys know why? Let me explain something. I got a fucking hacker right now, trying to take over my shit, trying to close all my accounts and do all kinds of shit. So I can't even use my computer. My computer's shut down. I'm on my phone right now. Can't use my computer. Can't transport. I can't do anything right now. So I can record on my phone and upload on my phone, but it's a shitty situation. So Kara's trying to deal with it. Hopefully we get this figured out pretty soon. Because it's been a nightmare the past couple days with this stuff. I can't, my computer doesn't even work. Like I can't even type on it. They've shut it all down through the hack, you know, through the but we'll see. We'll see. All right, what am I doing? Oh, damn. I know it just happened. It happened a couple days ago. We've been dealing with it for a few days. So we have chef knife, very thin geometry. This is a Kingjoy. I accidentally called this a Japanese-made knife in the video. I want to take the video down because I was a liar. It is not a Japanese-made knife. It is a Chinese-made knife. The designer is a Japanese man. But we're going to sharpen it up. And with chef knives, typically you want low-angle edges. If it's a chopper, then you might want a little bit of a higher angle because it's going to deal with impact. This, oh yeah, by the way, this is a 5CR steel. Ooh, very simple steel. I don't like this steel. I would never recommend getting this steel on anything but maybe a kitchen knife. So for the best, if you want the best kitchen knife steel, I'd say AEBL 14C28N or VG10 10CR AUS 10. That would be the best in my opinion, aside from like going like with the best of the best, like Magna Cut and stuff like that. But I'm talking about as a simple steel that you'd want to use in the kitchen that's going to hold a really good edge, but be very easy to sharpen and do good with thin geometry, because that's the point. You need the steel to do good with thin geometry, and 14C AEBL, it was made for that. So chef knives are the easiest to sharpen. So if you want to learn how to sharpen, I do recommend doing it on a chef knife. You know, they are much easier to sharpen than a folding knife. The reason why is just geometry. These are thicker, they take a lot longer, you have to be better at holding your angle. There's just a lot more room for error with these. With the chef knife, there's not as much. So it's easy to hold your angle, easy to sharpen. I can literally just lock my elbow. Watch this. So locking my elbow, setting it down. That's my angle, right? Or sorry, locking my wrist, not my elbow, locking my wrist. So I'm going to find the angle. Let's say that's my angle, right? It doesn't matter. Like, don't focus on your angle too much. Just pick one, right? Don't make it too high. Don't make it too low. Right in the middle. How about that? So right there's my angle. Now I'm locking my wrist because I do not want, I know, fluctuation. I do not want to do this, right? I don't mind doing this because that doesn't change my angle, right? So usually if you're gonna do this, it's because you have a belly. So like this, see, in order for me to get the belly, I have to lift my elbow, right? So as I'm coming across the stone, I'll lift my elbow and then drop it. Lift my elbow and drop it. This isn't that type of knife because it's mostly flat. It has very little belly. So I'm going to lock my wrist, set my angle down. I'm going to put my finger right on the spine right here, just like this. Just to kind of keep the balance. Is also another indicator. I can feel if it's moving. So locking my wrist, taking my elbow, my shoulder, and my body. And that's what I move. So now I don't have to worry about my angle changing. I'm just pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling. You don't even have to move your elbow. You can literally just go back and forth as long as there's no belly. But if there's belly, then you're going to want to lift your elbow. Just through the belly area to get the tip. But that's right there. We already got a burr. There's one missing right here, but most of the edge has a burr already. So that shows you how damn fast these can be. And these take the sharpest edges because they're so thin and they're so broad. They have insane geometry. You know, chef knives are made to cut. That's the beauty with them. They're not really for toughness. They're for cutting performance. Yeah, those are great steels too, Sid. Yeah, I agree. I was more talking about what you can get typically like find easily, because I'm trying to talk to an audience that might not really know much about knives, but it'll be easier for them to find a VG10 chef knife than just about anything for a quality chef knife. I'm specifically talking about like for a high quality chef knife that's a production chef. Like obviously if you go to a custom knife maker, you can get whatever you want. But most people aren't going to leave this stream and go find a custom maker. They're going to look on Amazon or something. So look for VG10 or 14C28M. But yeah, my absolute favorite would probably be like KUBEY, to be honest. KUBEY would be an amazing chef knife steel, at least for me. All right. We have a burr from heel to tip. Nope, actually we're missing just a tiny, tiny bit right there. So now I'm going to focus my pressure right there. That should be good. Yeah, it's good. Bones with the 2 bones. Good thing you got a KIZER to assassin a hacker. Yeah. I think I'll be able to get that out too, by the way. It appears like it's not too deep anymore. Yeah, I'm flipping my burr like I said before. Worked on this side. My burr's flipped over, or my burr's folded over. I'm going to flip it back to the other side again, and now I'm going to work on this side. Same thing. I'm going to lock my wrist. My wrist is locked, and in order to get the knife this way, I'm just going to use my elbow and my shoulder, maybe a little bit of my body. You can just use all body, but, and then this has to have a little bit of belly. So like, look, you see how there's a little bit of belly under there? So I do have to do a little bit of lift, but not much, just a little tiny bit. See my elbow? It's my elbow lifting to get that angle. So just a little tiny bit of lift. See that? See that tiny bit of lift? Bink, bink. And again, our microscopic teeth are going the right direction. And if you guys want, I do have a microscope here. We might be able to pull out really quickly and take a look at the edges underneath the microscope so I can show you the serrations that I'm talking about. This is not done. You can use your fingers, by the way, to attack certain areas. But when you see sharpeners doing that, they're not adding pressure. They're adding basically just the weight of their fingers. So if I am touching here, that's focusing pressure there, even if I don't push pressure. So it's literally very little. And like, I want to be able to slide my fingers back and forth like this. Just let it glide. Let the wetness kind of just let it glide. Just make sure you don't cut yourself. And with these chef knives, they're very easy to pinch and hold your angle. That's another thing. The easiest knives to hold your edge angle on are going to be chef knives because they're made for ergonomics and grip. So that's why I recommend, man, learn on a chef knife with a nice thin edge. Don't get anything with a thick edge, thin edges. I can see this grind is a little goofy, but I don't give a shit. It's just a chef knife. We do have a burr from heel to tip, but I noticed this grind is thicker on this side and thinner on this side. How can I tell that? My edge bevel. My edge bevel's showing me that. It's okay, though. I don't care. It ain't going to affect anything cutting-wise. It'll be just as sharp. It's mostly just a visual thing. Okay. That should be good. All right. Now, going to the next stone. Actually, you know what? We're just going to go right to the 600. This is a simple steel. This ain't going to take nothing. So this is our finishing stone. Look at that. Look at how fast that was. Burr's on this side. We're going to flip the burr over. Flip it over one more time. Let's do 3 passes. Now the burr is flipped over. Actually, one more. I can feel it still. Yep. Now the burr's flipped over. I can feel it on this side. Now I am ready to finish this side. Develop my final burr. Well, not my final one. Almost my final one. The next one will be the final one. This will go really fast. go. I'm going to flip the burr over again. So now the burr's like this. And now sharpen this side. Just a little tiny bit at the heel right here. There we go. That should be good. Okay, now I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to go to my finer grit stone. This is about a 3500 grit stone. I'm only doing it to remove the burr, so it's just the point of it being really hard. It has nothing to do with the grit or even the type of stone. It's just a hard stone. I could use a ceramic. I could use just about anything for this because the point is not to change anything. It's just to strip the burr. So think of the burr as a paper clip, right? You're folding the paper clip back and forth until it snaps. So now my burr is facing this direction. I want to fold it back this way and then fold it back this way and then back this way and back this way and snap it off. So we're going to do some very, very gentle stropping passes. No pressure at all. Literally just let the apex hit the stone very gently. Other side, and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and we are almost done. This is a little bit of a softer steel, so it might take, you know, like I was saying before, how your burr gets removed is a big indicator of the heat treatment and the hardness of the steel, because each steel has a different hardness. Like the pocket knife we were doing just a little bit ago, this is 20 CV. It could be 57 HRC, it could be 60 HRC, it could be 62 HRC. We want it higher than lower, but the lower it is, the tougher the steel. The higher it is, the harder the steel, and the longer the edge will last, and sharper the edge will get. 6 micron gunny juice, like I said, a favorite stropping compound. Okay, that should be just about good. Let me just a couple more passes. Not as, there we go. There we go. That felt like it did it. Let's see if we can cut the paper towel. Hopefully it cuts. Yeah. If I'm hanging off, I'll go all the way through the paper towel. I have to stop because my handle will hit the table. Let's see. Ooh, very wide knife. Ooh, very, very sharp. Let's check out on a piece of paper. From heel to tip sharp. Very, very, very sharp. So what I could do is say if this was a little bit too toothy for me, which it did feel a little bit toothier than the steel might like right now, I can always just refine it just a little bit more on a different strop. So this was 6 micron. I think this is 1 micron. Yes, this is 1 micron. 1 micron gunny juice. And already I can feel it refining the shit out of that edge. So basically, again, the scratch pattern that you have on your edge. Do I have my folder over here? No, I think it's in the other room. If you watch all my sharpening videos, I show you not only the edges under microscopes, but I also draw. Ooh, shit, that just got so much sharper. But I also show you what it looks like on a drawing so that it's more understandable. Oh yeah, I got. Oh yeah. Ooh, I'm trying to do an S cut. There we go. Yeah, that got even better. That is a sharp edge, but that's chef knives, man. Chef knives, they get incredibly, incredibly sharp. I'm not wasting the paper towel. I'm going to use them to clean my stones off. Let's see what you guys are saying. Stroppy, not gunny, bud. Yeah, I would go with stroppy stuff or gunny juice at the moment. So I talked to Gunny Juice last year, and I tried to recommend him to do color coordinated emulsions. And the reason why is because I have a lot of Gunny Juices. I recommend Gunny Juice. Gunny Juice is awesome. However, it's nice to have color coordinated strops. Like here, just for an example, I have 3 strops here. I don't have to wonder what micron's on what. Now, if I used Gunny Juice, I don't know what stropping compound's on this unless if I write it down. Another thing, I have found that stroppy stuff has a little bit. Gunny Juice is great. I'm not taking anything away from Gunny Juice. I love Gunny Juice. I recommended it for a very, very long time. It was my favorite stropping compound. Stroppy stuff, I just find that the diamonds are more consistent. I find that it's more concentrated. Probably not by a lot more, you know, both of them do have good concentration, but I just prefer it's easier to put on, you know, because they have the spray. Freaking love this stuff. Like I said before, once I got stroppy stuff, I never went back. I've used Gunny Juice because I have it on other strops, but like I've never really went back to any other stropping compound because nothing is as good. Oh, he's talking to Haven. An item of food consisting of 2 pieces of bread with a meat, cheese, or other filled between them. You're making me hungry, bro. When I run out of Gunny, might get. Yeah, I would recommend that. Use your Gunny Juice, and like I said, I still recommend Gunny Juice. It's just if you're only gonna have one stropping compound, maybe it's not a big deal. Personally, I still like stroppy stuff if I'm gonna have just one, but yeah, if you're gonna have multiple, especially, you want to get them color coordinated, man. I can't tell you how many times I've cross-contaminated stropping compounds, and in the end, I won't even know what the hell's on them. My diarrhea is dripping out my intestine. Okay, gotta love the Gunny Juice. Thank you for the 5 bones, Barking Spider. I do appreciate it. Just mark the strop with the mic. Yeah, I do that. That's what I said. But what I'm saying is that there's going to be times where if you only, like I said, if you only have a couple strops, right? If you only have a couple strops or a few strops, and say if you have different emulsions, you're going to run out of some sometimes. So then you're going to have to apply a different one to one. And it's in many cases, like I've just noticed that it's a lot more of an issue when they look the same. And yeah, you can mark it, you can do whatever. But to me, it's the color. That's all I need to do. I don't have to mark shit. And like I said, I find it to be more concentrated. I find it to be better in most ways. Like not just. I used to think that they were about 1 and 1, but now that I've used it much longer, I have noticed a significant, not significant. I've noticed a difference, and I've noticed that the concentration feels better. It feels like it lasts longer. That is another thing. It lasts longer. And then, like I said, it's color coordinated. But yeah, you use whatever, man. Gunny Juice is great, man. I recommended it for a long time. I'm not going to take it back now and say you shouldn't get it. It's a great. I still have a bunch. It's great. I'm just saying that, you know, I find that stroppy stuff is a little bit better, and that's why I put it in the store, and requested it to be in the store was for that reason. Because, like I was telling you guys before, I'm trying to get stuff that I mostly recommend. Hey, Adventure Man's been a member for 8 months. Got my Sativian yesterday that I won, and man, is that thing awesome to video with. Awesome. Hey, so anybody who's in here, if you don't know, I have a membership where we do 2 live giveaways a month, and we also do live sharpenings like this twice a month. So if you want to join the membership, you can join and get free stuff, free knives. What did we get? How many knives did we give away the last one, Adventure Man? Do you remember? It was like 5 knives or something like that. Chris uses super chat if you want to see it. Ever used oil stones? I've used every stone. I have every stone. I've used oil, water, wet, dry, everything. In oil stones, They're good if you're on such a tight budget that you can't afford a diamond plate, but I promise you, your experience will be 10 times better with a diamond plate than any oil stone. Oil stones, you have to add oil, right? So they can be messier. They don't cut as fast. Eventually you have to flatten them and you have to, like, you know, condition them. Diamond plates, you don't do nothing. Like right now, I want to sharpen. Bang, sharpening. I don't have to do anything. No mess, no nothing. When I'm done, put it away. So that saves you a lot of stress, especially when you're learning. So when you're learning, you want to take away all the variables. What are all the problems? What are all the situations? And you don't want to have stone problems. You want to have edge holding problems. You want to focus on that. How do I sharpen an obsidian knife with another rock? Or sorry, with antler. What the fuck? You do it with deer antler, but I wouldn't recommend it for a knife, for a pocket knife. There's a reason why we've moved to steel, right? People, I know, like, it's a nice theory and a nice thought. Obsidian's the sharpest thing ever. Nah. Yeah, in a little tiny flake this big that you can't use for anything. But try making an obsidian knife like this. Try making an obsidian knife this big and cut anything. I promise you this will last and work a billion times better. And steel holds toughness. Obsidian is so hard it doesn't hold any toughness. So it won't take any impact or anything like that. What's the diamond plate? So I use one of three. Ultra sharp. Everything's linked down in the description. Just go to the NeevesKnives store, not NEEVEKNIVECO, NeevesKnives store. If you want the stropping compound, go to NEEVEKNIVECO. It's the first link in the description. But if you scroll down a little bit more, the NeevesKnives store, it's in the Amazon link. That's all it is. You'll see ultra sharps in there under the sharpening supplies I recommend. DMTs and Atomas. Atomas are the most expensive out of the three, but they're the most aggressive. They cut the best and they last a long time. So yeah, they're more expensive, but they are worth it. But if you're on a budget, just get ultra sharps. Ultra sharps work great. I've been using them for years. They're awesome, and they're affordable. You know, and they're just same thing. They're just both diamond plates. Here, I'll show you. DMT, USA made, ultra sharp. They're basically the exact same thing. So the difference is this is probably $20 cheaper or something like that, give or take. Just depends. They're not like, you can get three of these, 3, 6, and 1200 for 138 bucks, or you can get two for like 100 or something like that. But you can get the 2x6s for like 56 bucks. You can get three of them 2x6, which you can sharpen on a 2x6. So better to have a 3x8 because it's just more abrasive. It's going to last longer, all that good stuff. But you can totally get by with a 2x6. They're good for what I need. Hell yeah. Dude, ultra sharps, all you need is two. Literally, like, I have thousands of dollars in sharpening supplies. Nobody has to do that. You can if you want to get crazy like me and have these insane edges, but if you just want like a high level sharp edge, like I'm talking about, like better than probably 90% of people on the planet, a 300 grit and a 600 grit is all you need. 300 grit diamond, 600 grit diamond, you're good to go. All the knives we've sharpened, well, we only sharpened two. The two knives we sharpened here today, we ended on a 600 grit. Those were 600 grit edges. A 6 micron compound would do fine. Yeah, I would recommend getting, either a 6 or a 9 micron. If you're looking for one compound, if you're looking for a one and done, get 9 or get 6 or 9. The orange or the green. You don't have to shake them up, but I like to, but you don't have to because the suspension is great. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. It's nice having like a 1, a 3, a 6, and a 9. But you don't have to have that. You can get by with just a 6, a 6 and a 1 or something. The 6 will take care of the medium grit. 1 will take care of the finer grit. But a 6 micron will work on polished or toothy. That's the beauty with a 6 micron. Now, is it the best for either one? No, but it works for both. Does that make sense? So if I have a mirror polished edge, I can use 6 micron. It's not the best, but I can use it. The best would be like 1 micron, or maybe between 3, 1.5 micron. If I have a toothy edge, 600 or 6 micron will work. Is it the best? No, but it will work. 9 or 12 micron would be the best for toothy edge. I don't understand why people recommend 9 for an aggressive edge though, because it's more aggressive. It drops the teeth right out of your edge. No, might want to. No. So an abrasive, like just like sharpening, right? When I'm sharpening, if I want a toothier edge, if I'm going to deal with bigger, just for an example, let's just say this. If you have a 300 grit edge, right? If I have a 300 grit edge and then I want to go to this stone, it would do nothing for me because this is 3/2 micron. This is so fine, it's too fine to affect the toothy edge. Way too fine. I can use it for burr removal, but it ain't going to do nothing to my scratch pattern. So what I would want to do is I would want to go to a little bit higher. So a 9 micron will help add larger teeth because you're using it for edge maintenance. I'm not saying have that be your end all be all. I'm not saying that. Sorry guys. I'm saying that it's going to work really well at cutting in larger microscopic teeth. I mean, last month I spent a total of 20 grand just for materials such as titanium and 14C slabs. Damn. Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. Cool. Is Kara trying to text you, Jared? No, my phone just rang. I don't know who it was. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. What grade metal am I using? Are you talking to Haven? I was just sharpening. What did we sharpen? 20 CV, and then we sharpened 5 CR, which is a junk steel, but it's a chef knife. No, me. So I sharpen every steels, all steels. There's very few steels that I haven't sharpened. Like right now, I have Rex 45 in my pocket, which is an absolute monster of a steel. This shit. Look, I have a mirror polish. Well, let me strop it really quick. I have a mirror polish on it. And it is, I've been able to strop and, like I was saying earlier, if you have the appropriate edge angle on your knife, then it's going to strop and hone back much, much better. I've been able to strop and hone this edge back over and over and over and over. Of course, it's going to need a sharpening eventually, but come on, baby. Nope. Oh, trying to hit the, maybe this way. It is a mirror polished edge. Like I said, I've stropped and honed it back. It's a beautiful edge. Probably not going to show up on camera very well. Incredibly sharp. Lots of bite. Now, Rex 45, because Spyderco does such a good job with heat treating it, it does really well. I wouldn't say get it from any company, but from good companies, my goodness, that stuff is beast mode. A design I have in mind is similar to the FLN. It's just longer, thicker, different steel, Denomicarta, show side. Oh, awesome, Haven. Awesome. Love to see it. We're going to thin out the one that I have and change the steel. So I'm sorry, Jared, may I know what camera you are using? Right here, this is an S23 Ultra. This is just a phone. I normally use Canon SL3 Rebel. That's normally what I use. Right now, I have to use this because I got problems going on. So, hey, Chevy, man. Yeah, we're about to get out of here, so you caught me late. But you can always replay this. We did have a good live. Hogue Steel's good. It just depends on which one. Like, they're doing a good job with their Magna Cut. They were not doing a great job at first. They've upped their HRC, so now they're running it harder. They were running at 61, 62 when they first started. Now they're running at 63, 64, I believe, or 62 to 64. So that's better. I did do an edge retention test on it, and it didn't do horribly, but you could tell it was softer. Since then, it's gotten better. So now it's good. Their 20 CV tends to be more on the softer side. So I would say that 420 CV, like, so you're still going to have good edge retention, still going to be a great steel. You know, it's just, it's not going to be as good as it could be, you know, that just, you know, it's just the way the engine's tuned basically, right? But it's still good. So they're 154 CM and all that stuff, or whatever, like, what do they use? They use, trying to think of what else they use. S30Vs, their S30Vs are great. I love their S30Vs. They do a great job with that. They do a good job overall. 20 CV, I would say, is their least best at the moment, but it's not horrible. It just could be harder. I've never had a problem sharpening it though. Hey man, first time on the live stream. Love your vids. Thanks for showing awesome knives to people like me who might not be able to get them. You're welcome, man. I appreciate you joining. But hey, if you're a damn member, I give knives away. What micron for 800 stone grind on S110V? So I wouldn't do S110V at 800. S110V, you want a toothy edge. You like you want to go 400 to 600 grit. I personally wouldn't even take S110V over 600 grit. Yes, it will absolutely take a screaming sharp mirror edge. I'm talking about like fuck you sharp, but it won't hold it. It'll literally get slick as snot after you use it a few times. That is a high performance. It has a long lasting working edge. So it's just because of the high carbide ratio in it. So in order for it to hold that bite that you want for the long haul, you want to go medium grit to coarse grit with that. 400 to 600 grit is what I like on it. I think 400 grit is probably the best, but 400 to 600. 800, you know, you're fine with 800. It's not bad. I'm not saying like that's a bad edge. It's just fine. But I would, as far as what micron would I strop it with, I would go 6 or 9 micron. I think that would probably do you just fine. You can go anywhere 4, 6, or 9 micron is going to be good. I tend, for edge maintenance, I tend to like to stick between the 4 and the 9. Now, if I'm doing like coming off the stone off of a mirror polish or something, that's when I'll use the finer stuff. Or if I'm doing a progression, you know, like 6, 3, and 1. But yeah, you want to keep S110V toothy. It has, so a lot of those steels, like say S110V, Maximet, steels like that, they have, the reason why their edges last so damn long is because of their working edge. It's that their ability to hold a working edge is just insane. But as far as holding a fine edge, it's not good. They do not hold fine edges good. So while they'll get incredibly, incredibly sharp, they won't hold the bite as good as other steels unless if the microscopic teeth are nice and large. Then it'll hold on to it better, right? Because they're larger. But if they're finer, they're going to break off easier, or they're going to wear off easier. I should say wear off, not break off. Yeah, I do have what grit you should use for what steel. I have that video. It's a great video. I might remake it. Jared has video on the playlist. Best edges. Yeah, I have literally hundreds of sharpening videos, guys. You guys can go on my playlist, my sharpening playlist. I have specific videos teaching specific things, all the way to full sharpenings just like this. But what's the live format? Why different? So one, my computer's hacked right now, and I'm trying to figure it all out because they're trying to steal all my information and trying to shut down my channel. So this was just an easy way for me to create content today. I want to start doing this more. This is a good way to spread the word and to talk, you know, with more people, because it's in a different format. Doing this puts me in the shorts spot. With the other way, it doesn't. So this gives me an opportunity to reach more people. That's for one. And two, the only way I can record and upload right now is if I use my phone because of the issues I just said. So I'm kind of in a tight spot right now until I get this hacker dealt with, and then I'll be able to do my normal thing. So just going to have to edit on my phone for now. Going back in time. We're doing it like we used to. There's nothing wrong with that. It just takes me a lot longer. It's much more difficult for me to do. Lot more issues. So hopefully we get it dealt with in the next day or two. How do I see what steel my blade is made of? So you just look. Like this one. It says right there. Rex 45. This one. It's very, very, very tiny. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's very, very tiny right there. Now, if it does not say, then it's shit. If they're scared to tell you what steel it is, then that means it's not good. If you see just stainless, that's bad. If you see German stainless, that's bad. If you see surgical stainless, that's bad. You want a number. You want to see what steel it is. 14C28N, 10CR, S35VN, S30V, Rex 45, 4V, 3V, N690, 9CR 18MOV, 440C. You want to see the number. If it just says stainless, it's not good. That means it's bottom of the barrel steel, because they don't even have a number. They don't care to tell you because it's that bad. What's your view on cold steel? Cold steel is amazing. Cold steel does some of the toughest, literally the toughest folding knives on the planet. If you want an indestructible folding knife that will literally survive through a fucking apocalypse, that's cold steel. Cold steel is made for the tough shit. Their lock can hold like upwards of 600 to 800 pounds. And their other one, their new, what's it called? The Engage? No. Whatever their new one is called, it can hold like over 1,000 pounds. But the Triad lock, that one takes the most abuse. I think it takes even better abuse. So if you want a knife that you can chop with, you can pry with, you can literally baton with, and you want it to last a long time, go with a Triad lock. Cold Steel 8010, Cold Steel 4 Max, any of the Cold Steels with the Triad lock. Those knives are, I have one in the other room, man, or a couple of them in the other room. Those things, I wouldn't hesitate to do just about anything with them. I wouldn't hesitate to hammer them into a tree and stand on them. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I finally got the drop bear. Hell yeah, and some ultra sharp plates. And when sharpening, it was really hard to hit the spot above the heel. Is it a recurve? No. So, okay, with the drop bear, first of all, the heel is a lot of knives. This is not just the drop bear. So let's just say 80% of knives you're going to sharpen, the heel of the blade and the tip are going to be the areas that can be a little bit wonky. Don't drive yourself nuts on it. Get it on the second or third sharpening. That's fine. It's just gonna, it'll come out. It just, sometimes it takes a little bit more steel to remove in that area than the other areas. So as long as you have 98% of the edge really good and the heel has a little spot, leave it. It's fine. Get it on the next sharpening, maybe even the third sharpening. Don't beat yourself up over it. It's just the way the knife is ground. That's any knife. Any knife can have that issue. Like I said, you'll see it in the tip sometimes. You'll see it in the heels. And that's just grinds, you know, because they're ground. And sometimes they're thinner in areas. Sometimes they're thicker in areas, which can affect your sharpening. So I would say just don't beat yourself up over it. Just get it on the next sharpening. Do you know the grit equality? Equality of wicked edge stones? My 1,000 grit Wee stone is equal to what grit of the freehand? So it depends on what you're talking about. So like, Wicked Edge uses regular diamond plates, so there should just be R grit, which is a G rating. So it's 600 grit, 600 grit, 1,000 grit is 1,000 grit. Now, if you go with an F rating, like these are, you basically multiply it by 3. It's kind of the way you think of it. So, you know, just multiply it by 3. That'll be the actual grit, because they, like, say this 800, this is an 800, this is like 3,500 grit. This is a 1,200, this is about 5,000 grit. So you can just think about it kind of like that. As far as Japanese stones, like Japanese wet stones, they use a J rating, which is a little bit different. So theirs are finer. I guess the F rating is also finer. Right. Yeah, it's also finer. So they're closer though. The J rating, so like Japanese wet stones, their 600 grit is going to be more like a what is it? So like a 600 grit would be like a 1,000 grit diamond plate. That's kind of the way you can think of it. But I'd say if you're just using diamond plates, that's the rating you want to kind of look for, is the rating that a diamond plate gets you, because that's going to, not resin bonded diamonds, diamond plates, meaning a metal plate with diamonds over the surface. I'm to a point now with my sharpening that I can almost close my eyes and feel everything. Yes. Yeah. You'll get to a point to where, like, sometimes I can sit here and sharpen and just look at the camera. It's just muscle memory, you know, like it's kind of like anything, you know, like say when you learn to drive stick, eventually, you know, you get those pedals down so good, like, just like with anything, same thing with like driving, like you get the muscle memory down. Once you get that muscle memory down, like that is when you really start taking off. When you can get that muscle memory down, it's like almost like that's the beginning. That's the beginning of incredible edges. Like that's where you will be able to finally start doing perfect burr removals, perfect everything, and having edges that are just absolutely mind-bogglingly sharp and that last a long time, that hold bite. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. I'm going to answer this last question really quick, and then I'm going to get off. I got to fucking eat something. So when you say do 154 cm to 6 to 800 grit, I should do 6 to 800 grit on my Wicked Edge. Yes, exactly. Yes, 100%. So 154 cm, the reason why I say 600 to 800 grit is because it does not do well with fine edge. CPM 154 is even worse. So and it's not about bad or good. I'm just saying like that it doesn't hold a polish, you know, well at all. The grain structure of the steel is just so fine grained. I'm not talking about sharpness right now. That steel gets incredibly sharp because of its fine grainness. What I'm talking about is the bite. So while the edge angle can get nice and low because of the fine grain structure and get incredibly sharp, the teeth, the microscopic teeth, it's so fine grained that when you go to a fine edge, it gets slick. So then it's like you can like rub your edge, your hand across it like this. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't cut into you. So you want to go with more of a medium grit edge so that it holds that bite, so that basically the microscopic serrations hang on for the long haul. QSP with M390. QSP does a good job. I don't want to take anything away from QSP. I like them. I like them as a company. They're awesome people. They do good stuff. But their M390 isn't top notch. You know, like I'd say it's on average. It's on average to literally just like about every other company that's doing M390. The problem with M390, 20CV, and 204P is that steel was never meant to be mass produced. It was meant for the plastics industry, and we are using it for knife steels, which is great. It does have the potential to have insane. It's a great steel. Like it's an incredible steel. It's technically one of the best steels you can buy. However, that's for custom heat treatments. So meaning a custom knife maker can heat treat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blades at once. So they can rapidly cool them. They can literally be very, they can have the exact temperature and all that. When you're talking about mass producing them, doing 1,000 knives, 2,000, 10,000 knives at a time, it's impossible to regulate that temperature, which is what is required by a lot of steels. Like some steels are easier than others. M390 is more finicky. So they have to have it within like a 50-degree range or something like that. And if they're higher or lower than that, it teeters the steel. So most of them run it softer. You want to see it about 62 HRC. That's usually what we want to see it at. Usually you see it, 59 to 60 from like a company like that. Not saying they can't do 60, 61. Jared, get on Original Goat. They slipping, man. Why? I love Original Goat. Yeah, well, it depends on the company. Chinese, any steel can be softer from any company. It just depends on the company and how they're doing it. A lot of, if you're talking about like run-of-the-mill Chinese companies that are just like, no-name brands, yeah, of course they are. They're running mass-produced knives. Riat does a damn good job. Riat does some of the best knives on the planet, and they do a good job with their M390, from my experience. We Knife Co., they do a good job with their heat treatment, but they could run it a little bit harder. But I'm not really mad at it, man. They're cut tested really good from my experience. What did I get? Do you guys remember what the wee cubic got for the edge retention test? It was like 650 feet or 700. I don't remember. Fuck. It was double. It was over double what the 14C got. I remember that. So it was like 600-700 feet or some shit in a 1-inch section. So I can't be mad at that. It's not bad. It's just it's not as good as it could be. But we're not paying for custom heat treated steels here, right? You're paying for mass produced steels. Like this is 20 CV right here, mass produced. It's a great steel. It's going to cut for a long time. It's going to hold a great edge. It's going to take a good sharp edge. It's going to probably outcut most knives that anybody's carrying, but it's not going to outcut 20 CV done by a custom heat treater. That's when that's like, fine tuning, kind of like an engine or something. Not to me, Chico. I used to do a sharpening service. I stopped doing the sharpening service. Now I just teach it. However, if you get a hold of me on Instagram, I can send you a link to somebody that will sharpen your knives for you. That's really good. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I got to eat some. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for all the donations. If you guys want to join the memberships, we do 2 live sharpenings a month plus 2 giveaways a month where we give away multiple knives every 2 weeks, basically. So if you want to join, you can join that. I also offer one-on-one sharpening if you're a top tier member. But it's really awesome to it's an awesome place to learn sharpening and talk like this, and then also to win free shit. The other day, we gave away 5 knives, over $500 in knives. One knife alone was $300. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace. How do I shut this thing down? I don't even know. This is my first time doing this. Are you sure you want to stop the streaming? Yep.